All right, so this is the photo that we're working with. We got a brand new GR86 right there, looking fantastic. I can't tell if that's just because his turn signal's on or if he actually just has one yellow headlight, but it looks pretty cool. This was shot in Big Bear. I went there last fall with some of my buddies in college. We went hiking and saw a bunch of cool stuff. A lot of really pretty nature. In Big Bear, it's not a cheap area, so there were some pretty nice cars. I think this is probably one of my favorite shots and personally my favorite car that we saw coming through here. Before I start editing a photo, what I usually like to do is just look at the raw photo, pick out the things that really stand out to me, that I really like about the image, and where your eye is drawn. So this one's pretty obvious. The first thing that sticks out to me is the car, obviously. All of the branches on this tree seem to be pointing at the car. Even the lines on this sign and this tree are pointing at the car. Even the arrow is in the direction of the car. And the road obviously kind of like apexes right here pointing this way towards the car. So honestly, it's pretty obvious what the subject is, and that gives you a bit of direction when jumping into the edit of your photo and where you want to draw the attention of the viewer. Now, another interesting thing too is this car does not have color to it, so we can't just saturate the gray here and then have that draw the eyes of the viewer. Instead, we got to find ways to mess with the light to bring the viewer's eyes farther to this car and keep an interesting image. All right, first let's start with our light. Usually I like to start with just the main exposure, just feel something out. A lot of photo editing is literally just feeling out the sliders, seeing what you like. Go both ways, go left, go right, see what you like. And if there's something that you don't like and you want to go back, just undo it. All right, I think that's a pretty good starting point. This is where we started with, and this is with my light adjustments. Obviously, there's a lot of other effects that we will be throwing on here. Now that we got light out of the way, let's move on to color. Honestly, I don't think that our temperature needs to be changed much. If anything, if I want a more realistic looking shot, I might go a bit on the blue side. But I feel like the warm look was kind of nice, especially in the fall. Green, magenta, yeah, not really anything necessary there. Vibrance, bring up your saturation a little bit maybe. Now I see that there's a bit of green. That's another tip too. When you feel like your white balance is off for some reason and you don't know why, usually just go to the extremes. Make it super oversaturated, and then if I want to make this thing look normal, I'll probably come somewhere around here. And then you desaturate it. Look, that's like perfect white balance. Okay. All right, I think I'm pretty happy with that for now. Then I like to jump over to effects. Clarity, I don't know if I want to bring clarity up or down on this image. When I dehaze, it really makes this tree darken quite a lot. I feel like it's definitely a more intense look. I think I will be adding a vignette later, not quite yet. I don't really like the dramatic look that comes out of the texture. This feels like a very relaxed, I like to edit my photos to the vibe that it gives off. There's a ton of different directions that you can take every photo, but the vibes that I get from this is like a nice, chill, relaxing drive through the mountains, which is what it is. Usually something intense and harsh like this with all that texture or clarity, this is just not the direction I want to take it. So we'll do a little bit of clarity. I don't know if I'll add texture yet. We'll see. I'll mess around with everything else first. Nothing with detail. Lens blur, I don't think so. We're going to crop this bad boy. Bring her in like that. Maybe we'll try this. Kind of like that. Keep the car centered. Maybe put this tree on the third line. Right there, like so. I like that. That's pretty darn good. Car is quite centered. We got this clear line of rule of thirds right here. And then the break in the opening happens right around here as well, with the tree line here and then the bottom tree line here. Yeah, I think that's good. And I like having the sign in here too. It is a little bit awkward off to the side, so I might try to fix that. Give it a bit more space. Or I could commit to it being out. See what that looks like. What does this look like? I guess there's a little bit less junk in this image. Yeah, I think I like that. Notice how I have the tree right on the third line. I think that does a lot for the image. Rule of thirds, honestly, too, if you're thinking about framing, just literally try matching random parts of the image to the rule of thirds, and for some reason, it'll look better. Okay, so I think that'll be our final frame. Now, let's get creative. This is probably one of my favorite places to add personal spice to the image. Color mixer right here. Basically, you grab colors, and then you turn them into other colors. So if I go hue on here, I can make that stuff green or more orange. I think I like a little bit more on the orange side. These greens are still very green. I could bring them down into the orange area. Let's see what default right here. More edited. So this is the original. This is edited so far. So the car's reflecting the sky, which is actually why it appears blue. Let's bring the saturation of the car down a little bit just so it looks more gray. I like this theme of warm colors that we got here. We got yellow, orange, a little bit of red in the tree. So I think what I might do is bring out the red right here and in the tree a little bit more. Yeah, I like that. Just like such. I'm going to bring the texture down a little bit because honestly the road feels very harsh up here. I like the smooth looking roads, the smooth silky looking roads. Silky. Hey yo. Do subject detection. That was not my subject, bro. Brush. We're going to do some lighting adjustments to the car itself. Let's check out the color right here of the car. This is true gray, but it has to be a little bit blue to be realistic. That looks pretty good. I honestly want to add some more clarity to the car too. I feel like it's more clearly the subject by being sharper than everything else. And I think lastly, I might just add a bit more saturation of this bad boy. Something like that. Yeah, I like this a lot actually. And I think that's about everything that I want to do. Oh, it's not everything I want to do. Wait a minute. Pause. Alright, and then one of the last things that I really like to do is we go to masks, and then we make a new mask. Linear gradient, something like this, right there. I like to make the gradient very thick like that so that there's a very smooth drop off of whatever effect I put on it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Alright, and now we mess with these areas right here. This is kind of like a vignette that we're making here, but just within the areas that I highlighted. Let's see, something else I could like to do. Bring the clarity down so it's smoother. Texture down maybe a little bit. I could drop the saturation, but I really like the orange that comes out here. So I think what I'll do is I'll actually might drop the exposure just a tad, and then I might bring the saturation up. See what that looks like, because it's kind of like this deep warm look. Interesting. Before, after. When I move the shadows, it really affects the top third of the image a lot more than the bottom. Interesting. All right, and this is with my masks. This is with no masks. So quite a big difference right there. I intentionally placed these masks on this little zigzag kind of angle because it's kind of like pointing and like funneling the car into the direction that it's driving as it comes around here and then continues to turn left. All right, so this is before masks and this is after masks. In terms of the entire image, this is before and this is after. Let me know what you think in the comments and what you would have done differently. Thanks for watching. Peace.